Hey folks, Dre Crawford out here again, Recovery One Drones. I'm on another solar project, and I want to go through a little more detail in this video on what encompasses solar projects. There's a number of different things you can do for solar work. Like the other day, I was out on a large warehouse type facility for a furniture company. Today, I'm on a medical hospital facility, Kaiser Permanente. Big facility, big company here in California. I think they do insurance across the country now. Now out here, I'll be doing parking lots. Let me swing you around here. You can see over my shoulder, maybe not. You can see the shade over the parking area. Those are all solar arrays. It also provides shade for parking underneath, but also generates power for the hospital from the solar panels on top. So that's going to be our operations for today. It's going to be manual flying. The biggest issue with that is, with solar, just like any type of mapping type of mission, they're going to want to overlap. So now I got to manually fly 75% over 75% across one another and from the top of each picture. So that's where the manual part will come into play. So that takes it a little more tedious. And going from there. It's not a long flight, might take me about maybe no more than about 30 minutes, complete all of this, and then we'll be heading back home. But I'm gonna go through all the different steps and some of the other important features of what you need to be looking for when you're doing mapping in general, but also especially solar. So hang on, enjoy the ride. Got everything set up, drone set up, base station set up, got the controller ready to go. I'm also recording on the controller. There's going to be some things on here I want to talk about. First thing we're going to talk about is the RTK and why am I using it. This job doesn't require RTK. Usually the jobs that require RTK are going to be the actual mapping missions, especially those with the 3D mapping of facilities. But doing solar work normally doesn't need RTK. I like to bring it out because it actually makes it more precise for me. Okay, we know drones have a slight bit of drift, up, down, back and forth, all that kind of stuff. So using RTK, no matter what I'm flying, makes my drone more stable, makes everything I do more accurate, and going from there. Now, on the current trend, what I'm hearing online is that with DJI's new RTK3 base station, that works great with the 4E, 4T, and the new Batrice 400, outstanding. But the shortcomings no one tells you is that it is not backwards compatible to all the other drones. So now you have an issue. Do you continue to go with the newer technology and only have 3 drones to use it for? Or I can stick with what I have here and I can cover everything from my Phantom 4 RTK, my M3E drone, my M30T, and I'll probably end up buying a M350 here, hopefully in the future, and I already have a base station that works with all those drones with no problems at all. Okay, so that's the things you got to think about when you're making your purchases. It's not always what's the latest thing out there, what's going to be your best bang for the buck. I also have an inlet set up, another base station, rover, go, all that kind of stuff. I use that when I go out and have to set GCPs. Now, I tell you, and even people who work in the industry will tell you that when you use or go out and set up I won't say not real, but a bona fide GNSS system, they recommend you let that thing sit and cook. Well, that's the term they use, cook on a known point or establish a known point for a minimum of an hour. Sometimes they'll tell you they want it to sit for 2 to 3 hours. Because what can happen is those systems are a lot more sensitive because they're bringing in a lot more satellites than what the DJI system brings in, and it phases in and out. You can lose signal. And I'll give you a little tidbit. If you go up and you start flying a mapping and your base station loses signal during that process, you might as well bring it back home because you have to start all over again. Once it gets out of that fixed point, it goes to float or it loses it altogether, you have to bring it back home and start all over again from scratch. So that's why I say I like these DJI ones. They hold the signal. I only have mine lose signal once from a fixed position, one time out of the last 4 years I've owned it. And that's about it. I've dealt with my Imlid, and that thing can get, the first 20, 30 minutes, it'll go fix, float, back and forth, and then maybe after about an hour, it'll stay on that fixed position. So like I say, time is money. You don't want to waste your time, which means you're not making as much money if you're spending too much time on a job and you're only flying for about 30 minutes, but you're sitting out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, because you're trying to get a fixed position. So it's your call on that. So we're going to get started here, and also we're going to talk about GSD in a minute, and that's what we're going to be the next thing. Now, the last part I want to talk about in this video is that even though you're doing solar work, a lot of times the requirements of this work will have you shooting the RGB, which is basically the color part of it, in 1 centimeter GSD, and the thermal part no more than 5.5 GSD. So you ask the question, how do I accomplish both? And that's where the kind of like trial and error comes in, to where depending on what you're flying, if it's going to be on a rooftop, what's around the average height that you're going to need to fly on a rooftop. Like today, I'm on a parking lot. How high did you fly? Today, 49 feet. For me to accomplish 1 centimeter accuracy at 49 feet in RGB and maintain that 5.5 GSD accuracy for the thermal shots. So like I said, there's a lot more in the details than just going out and flying a drone. You need to know what your drone is capable of. You also need to pay attention to what the requirements of a job is. Now, this is my own little rant. Nothing gets under my skin when I hear people posting, can somebody loan me such and such gear? And the first thing that came to mind is you offer to do a job or apply for a job, an equipment that you don't even have. And that doesn't make any sense. It's like me talking about I'm gonna be a delivery man and I don't have nothing to deliver it in. I don't even have a driver's license. So I tell people, sometimes you gotta stay in your lane. Let somebody else who's very capable, very knowledgeable to do the work that is out there that you don't have the equipment to do. Because like I said, there's hardly any place in any state that rents equipment. There might be one in every state that actually rents equipment. Now, I've been asked, and I tell people, I'll give them the retail value of the drone. And they say, why you want so much? I say, because if you screw up my drone, I got to replace it. So I'm going to charge you whatever the retail value of that drone is. Retail value of my batteries. All that comes into play if you screw it up, because by you needing to rent it, 9 times out of 10, you don't know how to operate it. So this is Dre with Couple One Drones. See you on the next one. Bye. Get out of that. There we go.